Hi, I'm Hazel Savage. I'm the CEO and co-founder of MUSIIO. We're an artificial intelligence company for the music industry. I've been in the music industry for about 14 years. So I started my career at Shazam in the UK. I've also worked for Pandora Internet Radio, Universal Music, and various other startups. I've been running MUSIIO for about 2.5 years with my co-founder, Aaron. And we're a Singapore-based company and we're all fully Singapore located. So at MUSIIO, we've built an artificial intelligence that can listen to music. So actually, my very, very first job in the music industry, I used to work for HMV, which is a record store. And it was my job on the Sunday night to put the new CDs on the shelf ready for Monday morning. And on a really quiet week, there'd be maybe 1 or 2. On a really busy week, maybe like 5 new singles, and that was it. That was like, when it came to the Western Hemisphere, that was new music. So you were looking at anywhere between like 10 and 30 songs a month, which is a very manageable amount of music. But today you have companies like Spotify saying they have 40,000 new songs a day uploaded to their platform. So that's the problem that we address. We've gone from, it's very, very hard to create music and the barrier to entry is very high, to anyone can create music using their mobile phone or their apps on their laptop, which means anyone can create. But now we've got this huge volume. So how does the industry manage this huge volume of music? Nobody can listen to 40,000 songs in one day. Even if you hired 1,000 people, you still couldn't do it. So what kind of automation can you bring to the music industry? And that's really what we do. We've got an AI that can listen to music. And everything you need to do at scale with large volumes of music, the MUSIIO technology can be built into a product that works on this particular challenge. And I would say that 99% of the time, it's either something that already exists, and there's a lot of other people doing it. It's not a legal use of audio, so people want to do something that they're not legally allowed to do with other people's music. Or it's something that I think there's no market, it's kind of a fun idea, it's a fun research project, but I don't know how you would sell this to anyone. And if you fall into any of those gaps, which a lot of people love music, so it's easy to kind of think of something related to music, but the industry itself is a very different experience to actually enjoying music as a listener and as a fan. So that's kind of the challenge with coming up with a music company. It can look really fun on the outside, but without the kind of industry knowledge, you run the risk of falling into one of those categories. So obviously our solution is really B2B. So we're selling to other music companies who have the direct relationship with the consumer. I think that, as you see, the number of tracks that Spotify say they have uploaded every day, 40,000, is a lot. But I don't even think that they're not even at max capacity, because if you look at countries like India, Indonesia, Philippines, the amount of great music that comes out of these locations that isn't a fully tapped resource just yet, means that there's probably a lot more to go in terms of growth. And so the bigger the industry grows, the more the need for, smart, intelligent automation. And so that's really where I think the growth is. But yeah, that's a challenge for the industry as a whole. And we're just one part of that. A lot of investors would ask me, why are you building MUSIIO in Singapore? Why not London? Why not LA? And I was like, that is quite a good question, actually, because, if you go to London or LA, there are huge hubs of music technology. There are a lot of other startups. There's incubators in both LA with Techstars Music and London with Abbey Road Red. There are incubators specifically for music technology. And so a lot of the deal makers and the right people are in those two locations. But, we were Singapore's first ever VC funded music tech company. But I just think just because you're the first doesn't mean it's not a good idea. And in some ways, we get to be like a bigger fish in a small pond, you know, rather than in London or LA where you're one of many. And one of the great things about that is we have access to the fantastic talent in the region. And, you know, I really do think there are some of the best developers and tech people and researchers here in Singapore from all nationalities, but a lot of locals as well. And, you know, because we are relatively unique in the space, we get these amazing people applying to work for us. So we've got this incredibly high quality team where, you know, I sort of think if I was in LA and I had to compete with, you know, a Spotify engineering team and a Google engineering team working on a music product, then we'd struggle to attract the best talent. But here, you know, we're quite unique in the space. But I also hope many other people follow. You know, I would love there to be like a little music tech scene in Singapore, of a couple of different companies together. So yeah, I hope it kind of sparks something as well. That would be really cool. So the music industry, it's a difficult one because if you just read the headlines, then the music industry has been suffering quite a lot. But it's important to understand the definition between the live music industry and the recorded music industry. So live music is obviously a huge problem because lots of concerts have been cancelled, lots of events, you know, artists that make a lot of revenue from touring have not been doing too well. In fact, I just bought some tickets for a show, November 2021. So I'm buying tickets for over a year away. But that's because I love going to see live music. And, you know, even my friends that I told I bought the tickets, they were like, well, hopefully by November 2021, then we'll be okay. And I'm like, well, I'm going to take a risk on it because I feel like it should be sorted by then. So I'm gonna take that risk. That's at least over 12 months. But the problem with the live music industry is it's high cost to run events and it's high return. But if the events aren't there, then there's not really a replacement stream of revenue. With the recorded music industry, which is, you know, music streaming, music sales, it's been doing well. And with people in lockdown, they've seen, you know, there are some great Nielsen reports about this, they're a data company. There's actually been an increase in not just online gaming, but music streaming. And, you know, because people are working from home, so maybe they've got their music streaming on in the background, which they couldn't do in the office. So music streaming numbers are relatively healthy. And record labels as well. You know, if you consider the music as an asset, something that, you know, generates revenue over a long period of time, those assets haven't depreciated because of the current pandemic situation. So therefore, the recorded music industry is relatively healthy. You know, in all the jobs that I've had and working in the industry for over 14 years, really it was just about thinking, what kind of company do I want to build? And, you know, someone asked me the other day, like, who's the best manager I've ever had? And I find that question quite difficult to answer. I've had quite a few, but I actually feel like I learn more from the bad managers that I've had. Like, I learn more from the people who do things the way that I do not want to do things, because I've seen, you know, terrible handlings of firings. I've seen terrible handlings of company finance. I've seen, you know, company culture handled incredibly badly. And to me, you learn as much from a bad experience as you do from a good experience. And so it was really, you know, and my co-founder felt the same way. You know, we take all the experience that we have, and he's been working in the industry, you know, his industry for as long as I have in mine, and really just saying, well, what kind of company do we want to build? Because, you know, there are hardships to building your own company. You know, it's more stressful, there's more pressure on you. You know, you don't get as much time off. Hello, national holiday in Singapore. But, and as you know as well as a founder, but the payoffs are that you have the control, that you have the ability to run things the way you would like to run things. And, you know, for us, that means creating a culture of respect, creating something that is beneficial to the industry. I wasn't interested in building a company that in some way disrupted or damaged the industry that's given me my entire career. I wanted to build something that was, it could be disruptive, but not destructive. And also how we treat our staff. I'm English, my co-founder's Swedish, we're in Singapore. For us, it was about building a company that brought together the best parts of all of those cultures. The kind of the freedom, but the productivity of a European style way of working, but with the focus of a Singaporean company. So, really bringing the best of everything together. And that's why you would be a founder as opposed to work for someone else. When you have those ideas and you want to make them a reality. So that's kind of why I did it, or part of why I did it. The number one piece of advice that I sort of would like to bestow on anyone, because I kind of did it by accident and it sort of surprises most people when I tell them, which is when I was working at HMV in London, which was just a shop job. So I was working retail, behind the counter, minimum wage, and I wanted to break into the industry. So I started applying for jobs. Any other job, entry-level job at a record label. I applied for probably around 150 jobs over the course of a year and a half. And it took me 150 applications and a year and a half to get one interview, and that one interview was at Shazam, and I got the job. So I don't come from a family of people that work in the music industry. I didn't have any connections before I started in the industry. And so for me, the lesson is about resilience and it's about grit. For those that can afford to do an unpaid internship, that is a good option. That wasn't an option for me. But really often I hear people say, they see one job online, it looks perfect. They apply, they don't hear back, and they give up. And, one isn't enough. 10 isn't enough. 20 isn't enough. I did 150 applications to get my one shot at an interview. And so if you want it that badly and you want to work in this industry that badly, you have to be resilient and you have to be willing to do the grind to get that opportunity. But if you are willing to commit and you are willing to do that grind, then if you work harder than everyone else, you will be successful. It is possible. It is possible to get in. But you need that resilience, and that's something that people are often surprised about.